going on, everybody? Don Maguccione here. We're continuing our series on myofascial release, and we're going to move up the chain a little bit this week and talk about the hamstrings. So just a review of concepts. When we're talking about myofascial release and working on foam rolling, what we're doing is training the muscle to relax. So anytime that you're lifting weights, for example, what you're trying to do is create tension if you're lifting weights, because we talked about core stability and the importance of that. But the other side of the coin is relaxation, and specifically what we're talking about with myofascial release is, if you're familiar with some of Tom Brady's methods that he's been talking about, specifically related to training and playing into his 40s, he talks about a concept called pliability. So that's what we're working on here, is we're training the muscle to relax, and we're working out some of that tension with the aid of foam roller or other tools at our disposal. So concept review, when we did the calves last time, we talked about, okay, if you're going to get your trusty foam roller here, if your muscle is tight, you're really not going to accomplish much. So before you start, you need to train your muscle to relax. And it's possible that you might say, okay, I'm relaxing my muscle right now, and legitimately there's no give to it if you were to push on it, for example. If that's the case, you really want to start at an elementary level with this kind of stuff. So you want to start with a foam roller, you want to apply a little bit of pressure, you don't want to cause pain, and you want to work your way into this stuff, because if your muscles really are that tight, you need to do a lot of work to get them to a point where there is some pliability, and if you don't, you're setting yourself up for some serious issues down the road. So there are people that I've seen that are very good athletes and, you know, can run, can jump. The issue is, if you're not doing this kind of work and your muscles don't have pliability and they have a lot of tension in them and they don't have the ability to relax like we're talking about here, what's probably going to happen eventually is you're going to do a routine play, or you're just out for a jog, you pick up the pace a little bit, or if you're playing basketball, maybe you go up for a rebound, and you'll feel like a sniper might have got you right back here in the hamstring or the calf or the Achilles, and hopefully that's maybe a spasm, it's a wake-up call for you, and you can do some of this work, but it might be a tear or a pull, because if you're applying that repeated tension through those muscles, and they're not pliable and they don't have the ability to absorb that type of movement day after day, week after week, you get the picture. Eventually there's going to be some sort of an acute episode that's going to basically shut down whatever you're trying to do. So this is basically body maintenance, you can think of. So for the hamstrings, very similar to what we talked about with the calf. You want to, again, like same kind of concept, you want to say, okay, relax the muscle before I start. Okay. So for the hamstring, you're creating a little bit different leverage than you did with the calf. So you can plunk it up here. Remember, two different types of foam roll and myofascial release. The first one is basically the whole muscle group like a rolling pin. So you lift yourself up a little bit and go down one side and up the other, just like you're rolling out some dough. Notice if there's any tension. This is also a good way to take an inventory to say, okay, are there aspects of this muscle group that are tighter than others? So then the other type of foam rolls, if you're trying to specifically spend some time and relieve tension in certain areas. So again, you want to make sure that you're creating leverage. You can hold a spot and position yourself differently. So remember, you want to feel a little bit of pressure here, and you want to feel that muscle releasing tension as you're doing this. You don't want to feel pain, and you don't want to feel your muscle pushing back against whatever force you're applying. You can also cross up a little bit too if you feel like you can get better leverage on the outside of your hamstring here. Alright. So, bonus material for the hamstring. There are other tools that you can use other than a foam roller, and what we're going to focus on today for the hamstring is a trusty softball. So the softball, it's a little bit harder, obviously. So what I would qualify this with is you should not use a softball for myofascial release until you've done a base level with a foam roller, and until you can confidently say, I have some pliability in my muscles, I can train them to relax. If I get in there with my hands, there's a little bit of give to them. If your muscles are hard and you can't relax them, this really isn't going to do a whole lot for you except cause some pain. So if your muscles are feeling pretty relaxed and pretty good, what you can do is you can take this bad boy, put it underneath here, and it's more like a pinpoint, so you don't have to hold yourself up with the softball. This is a great one if I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch some TV. I'm going to put it on this tight point in my hamstring, work it back and forth a little bit. This one you don't want to use like a rolling pin because it's so hard, but it's very easy to apply some pressure with very minimal gymnastic moves. You don't have to lift yourself up. You can move it down here, relieve some tension while you're sitting. You get the idea. So it takes a long time. You really need to spend some quality time working on these concepts to have the benefits, but the benefits pay big dividends. Talked about that the last time with the calves area. So hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you give it a like on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to move on up next time. We're going to talk about the quads and what we can do to relieve some tension in that area. Thanks so much. See you next time.